Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to Final Trade. We're a couple of weeks away from the release of the Doctor Who expansion, and I wanted to talk about what we're going to have to pay. Now, there are two products for this expansion, the Commander decks and the collector boxes. And so first up over on TCG Player today, $208 for the Commander deck set and $223 for the collector boxes. So the first thing you do is you come over to eBay and instead you pay $28 less to get the Commander deck set for $179 and the collector box for $200. So that's the first thing. Just make sure you're always watching both marketplaces and other places for the products because often, especially in pre-release, the prices can differ wildly. Now, the Commander decks, what are these going to do? We have a pretty good historical comparison, and that is the Warhammer 40k Commander decks from merely a year ago. Those had incredible FOMO pre-release. They had a special edition of them that had different treatments. The prices went way up before release, and then after release, the TCG expansion life cycle did its thing. It brought the prices down. WotC reprinted them 4 or 5 times, and today you can buy the set for about $180. I don't think exactly the same thing is going to happen here. I mean, first off, we do not see a bunch of FOMO pre-release. We're about 2.5 weeks away from the set coming out, and the price is merely $179. Now, I've had a lot of messages from people in the last several months concerning Lord of the Rings and how them and their friends bought a set of Lord of the Ring Commander decks and they play those together and they have a lot of fun. And even friends amongst their groups who were not traditionally Magic players, they get in on that and they enjoy playing the Commander decks against each other and just enjoying the flavor of those Lord of the Ring Commander decks together. And you know, if you imagine the audience of Doctor Who and Magic and the Venn diagram and how they overlap, they won't overlap nearly as much as that Lord of the Rings circle overlaps with the Magic the Gathering audience circle. And so I don't think there's going to be nearly as much of a demand. And we might make arguments about whether or not the average Doctor Who viewer feels good about the IP and the show right now. The last several seasons have been pretty bad, but I don't really think that matters. I don't think that's a big enough deal because those audience circle overlaps just are not very big. And so you will have people who want to buy this because they're diehard Doctor Who fans. You'll have people who want to buy it because they are Magic players and Doctor Who fans. And I just don't think a lot of those outside influences are going to matter much to this product. Now, if the product starts going up in price, if the market catches its wind and there's some appreciation, then just like the Warhammer 40k decks, I don't think there's going to be any hesitation at WotC to reprint these again and again and again to demand and to keep the price reasonable to sell as many as possible. Because again, WotC has paid a lot of money to be able to use this IP. They want to use it. And so they won't hesitate to reprint. In the long term, I think these will be fine. If you want to take a couple of cases of these and put them back in your closet, I think they'll do fine. They won't be a barn burner and they won't do terrible. They'll do fine. Now, on to the collector boxes. And this presents a much different scenario. Now, I've had, again, messages from people. I've read other discourse on the internet that, you know, people had a lot of fun with the Lord of the Rings set with making decks and playing with only cards from the Lord of the Rings expansion. And the problem here is there are no draft boxes or set boxes of the Doctor Who expansion. There are only collector boxes and commander decks. And yes, you will have some people breaking down commander decks to sell singles, and you'll have that as a source of potential cards. But otherwise, the cards will have to come from collector boxes. We have to ask ourselves, what is the balance of the forces weighing on that market? Will there be a lot of people who are okay coming in and paying $200 for a collector box of 180 cards to build decks with, to have fun? Or will they be too price insensitive, or price sensitive rather, and they'll decide that's too much to pay? And on the balance, I think that that'll dissuade enough people. Now, yes, there always will be some fans who will come in, they'll say $200 for the box, sure, whatever. They'll open it up, they'll have fun, they'll enjoy it. And even the flashiness, even if they are not Magic the Gathering people, they will see the flashiness and be amazed at all the foil and the cool art treatments and the multiple parallel artworks for the same card and things like that. And, we look out in the market right now, we see gobs of people paying more than $1 per card for Lorcana, just for normal booster boxes of Lorcana. So there definitely is some appetite there. But as far as using it to build decks, I'm a little more skeptical that that's going to drive the price a lot. Now, on the other hand, I do not expect this to crash down to 130s, 140s, 150s, where all of those standard expansion collector boxes that did not have good chase card support have gone. At wholesale, these are being sold at that normal standard expansion collector box price, about $190 for a small card store in the US. And at these prices on marketplaces, small card stores cannot come in and sell these profitably right now. Neither do I expect that these are going to jump up to, say, the $290 price point that the Dominaria United Lost Legends collector boxes hit in pre-release. I don't think that's going to happen either. I think these are probably very heavily printed because WotC has learned the lesson with Warhammer 40k and with Lord of the Rings, and that these Universes Beyond IP crossovers are very popular. They are selling very well. And this one will probably sell well too, but I think it'll be somewhat balanced by the two factors of the price being kind of low, the printing being high, and that overlap in audiences not being as great as those previous two tie-overs, Warhammer 40k and Lord of the Rings. So, I wouldn't be surprised if this dropped to 190, and I also wouldn't be surprised if it went to 230. I think those are all very reasonable outcomes over the next couple of months. In the long term, as an investment, yeah, I think this is probably something good to have several boxes of in your closet. Again, Doctor Who fans, there are a lot of them out there, and when it comes to buying something that is weird in their eyes, like a Magic the Gathering Doctor Who crossover, they will be very price insensitive and they will be willing to pay the price. So in the future, I think additionally, they will be willing to pay the price. I expect that this will perform better than average for a Magic product. How many to put back? That's always for you to decide, and you should always hedge yourself potentially going into pre-release like this. If you want some of these to open, $200 a box is decent. If you want to eventually say have 3, you might buy one today because maybe Craig is wrong and these fly up to $270. At least you'll have one at this lower price. And hey, if Craig is wrong in the other direction and they fall down to $140, well, you can average down with the other 2 boxes. And in the long run, it won't matter a ton, but you've hedged yourself a little bit. Let me know what you think. I don't think this is going to be nearly as popular as Warhammer 40k or Lord of the Rings, but I don't think this is going to be unpopular like, say, some badly designed standard sets turn out to be, or something like March of the Machine Aftermath or an Unset. I definitely don't think it'll perform like that. Say, a bit better than a standard set is how I expect this to perform in the long term, in the short term. And remember, guys, we're getting out there into the fall, into the holiday season, Black Friday, inventory reduction sales. There's going to be a lot more downward pressure on the market. And like I talked about yesterday, WotC is going to continue to be glutted with inventory for probably at least another 6 months. So you don't have to do anything too fast. We have time on our side. And it's a really good time to be a buyer and an investor right now because there are sales coming. There are holidays coming. There are competing interests for our money coming. And we will have a lot of opportunity to buy things, probably at lower prices. Almost certainly. Let me know what you think. Thanks to all my supporters who make this content possible, especially those over on Patreon. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and join me on Final Trade. Ugh, Donna. The most obnoxious and stupid companion ever. Oh, Martha, your clothes. They're so fitted.